So hi everybody, my name is Duncan. I'm the ECES team member, primarily in charge of admissions and pre-departure process. And this is the ECES Fall 2019 pre-departure webinar. So we're going to be going over a few different pieces of information today. Besides going over the visa process step by step, we're going to start with that. And then after, we're going to be going over a few things about the actual program and what to expect once you get here and how to best prepare. If you have any questions, like I said, please type them into the chat box. I will be keeping an eye on it throughout the webinar, and I will type any answers privately if you would like that. Otherwise, I will be answering questions that apply to the whole program out loud. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And let's get started. So first, I just want to show you the ECES website. You've all used this already to submit your applications. But if you haven't already, I'm going to show you what the profile looks like and a little bit about how to negotiate moving through that. So I've created a student profile to show you what it's like if you haven't already signed up and started to use it from the student registered side of things. First lesson about the Czech Republic, the Z and the Y are actually switched on the keyboard, so please keep that in mind. Okay. So once you're logged in, first you have to register. If you haven't already done that, please, I ask that you register. I have mentioned this in your acceptance emails. That being said, please do this as soon as possible. I can't remind you enough. You have to be registered on our website as this student profile if you want to register for classes. So once you're logged in and registered, this is what your homepage on our website is going to look like. Right now, it's a bit empty for me. I'm not registered for any courses, and I don't have any assignments due for those courses. Although after course registration, this will fill up a bit. And additionally, if you're signed up for any of our activities on here, they will show up here as well. And you can check your grades and attendance on here as well. So I just want to direct your attention over here to the left-hand toolbar. So over here, you can go to courses, and we are going to have all of our courses for the fall right here. I believe we are still finalizing some of our courses, as you can see by these X's on the course code. That being said, especially if you would like to get a course pre-approved by your academic advisor, which we highly recommend, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in just a second. You can open up a course, and once you're on the course page, click on the section itself, and from here you can find the syllabi, and they're all in PDF form. So you'll just open this up, and you can scroll through, print this out, show it to your home academic advisor. And I do want to be clear, this is not your study abroad advisor. This should be your major advisor. Bring the syllabi to them. Have it pre-approved just to make sure that the credits will transfer properly back over as something other than a elective, especially if you are a history major or a politics major. We have a lot of classes in these subjects. Same with economics. So please bring these syllabi to your academic advisors ahead of time. I'll talk a little bit more about this when I go over the course registration. But we do always recommend you get more courses approved than you are planning to take, just in case anything happens and you're not able to get the courses you want. So over here, I have clicked on our activity section. And so over here, once you log in, you'll be able to see the activities that we have put on our website. Right now, this is not all of the tours and activities that we will have. But as they come up closer to the activity registration deadline, you can see which tours and activities we'll have on here. And this is how you'll register throughout the semester for these. And additionally, over here, I just want to point out that we have our academic policies and procedures. So this is just a little bit information about the course load, about attendances, what is expected of you from the administrative standpoint of our program. So please just give this a look over, although we will be sending out a little bit more information about these, as well as having you fill these forms out after your arrival to Prague. So we're going to now, like I said, go over the visa application process. Right here is a checklist of all of the documents required for the application. So first, you're going to need a signed visa application form, which I will show you all in just 1 second. 2 recent passport photos, and I do want to be clear, these are not just pictures of your passport. These are 2 recent photos that show what you look like currently or recently, and they have to be passport specifications. So double check, but I believe this is 35 by 45 millimeters. And so next, you will have to send in your original passport, as well as 2 scanned copies of the data page, confirmation of your study in Czech, and we will be sending this out. And I'll talk a little bit more about all of these in depth in just a second. So if something's a little confusing right now, don't worry about it. Next, confirmation of sufficient financial resources, a bank account statement, confirmation of accommodation. This as well, like the confirmation of study, we will be sending out to you. Criminal history background affidavit. For American citizens, this is extremely straightforward, although for any other students, Canadian students especially, I will be going over what is required instead of the affidavit. Health insurance contract, and I'll be going over how to apply for that as well in this webinar. And a prepaid self-addressed overnight envelope, but this is only if you are not planning to apply for your visa in person. All right, so first we're going to go over the visa application form. And like I said, if I'm going a little bit too fast for you, don't worry about it. Please, you can go over this after the fact, after it's recorded, but do not hesitate to ask any questions if anything comes up. First, this is what the form looks like. We have a link to it in your actual pre-departure guide, which I sent out to you in your acceptance emails. However, I will be sending it out again to you after this webinar, along with the video itself, just for your own reference. So first, like I said, we're going to go through this step by step. First is your family name or your surname. Second is if your surname at birth was different than your current surname, if you legally changed it for any reason. Number 3 is going to be your first name as well as your middle name if you have one. It's not really a thing to have middle names in the Czech Republic, so you will put both your first name and your middle name in this number 3 box. And I do want to be specific that for the name section, you have to put this exactly as it is in your passport. So if in your passport you have your first and your middle name, you do have to put this here. I can't stress enough that this must match your passport exactly. So next is your date of birth. And always, when you are in Europe, you will be writing your date of birth and any other date in the day, month, year format. So here, this is the 29th of April. So please just keep this consistent throughout all of your dating, on all of your visa forms and otherwise, especially also when you actually get to the program. Next is your place of birth. You have to include the town and the state or province name here, all in this single section. If you are finding it hard to fit the entire thing, if you live in a place that or if you're born in a place that is longer than Albany, then you can cut out these spaces in between the words. You just have to make sure that it fits all in this bar. The next 3, country of birth, nationality at birth, and current nationalities. For most of you will either be USA or CAN. But if you are unsure of your country code, please feel free to ask me and I will look it up for you if you cannot find it. But these must be precise. Next, sex, and then after that, marital status. Marital status, you will definitely know your legal status, although I believe for most of you it will just be single. Next is going to be your father's surname and your father's name, and then your mother's surname and mother's first name. And so just like your names, the father's name and the mother's name must both include their first and their middle name. And for the surname itself, the surname should match what your mother's current surname is or your father's current surname. If they have changed their name for any reason after they got married or anything, then this must be what it is currently, not what they were born as. Next is the type of travel document. So this is going to be pretty straightforward for most of you. You will definitely know if you have a separate passport or a travel document than just an ordinary passport. Next is going to be the number of the travel document, and you will find this in your data page. And you will also know which country has issued your passport. And so here, date of issue for the passport, and then valid until date. So just like the birth date, please make sure that this is in the day, month, year format. And also for the valid until, please make sure that the passport is valid until at least 6 months after the program is over. This is just to make sure that for any reason, if anything happens, that you're still able to use your passport. It's not really valid unless in case of emergencies, but this is definitely why they require this for the visa. So please check on your passport if it is going to be expiring less than 6 months after the program is over. Please get in contact with me because you will need to apply for another passport, and we'll have to expedite this process. Okay, and so next, if you reside in a country other than your country of origin, do you have permission to return to that country? Again, this is specific and case by case. If you are unsure, though, please don't hesitate to reach out and email me, and I can help you fill this out. Next, for 18 and 19 is going to be your current occupation. No matter what, you're going to be writing student under here, even if you have another job, part-time job, full-time. If you're interning anywhere, just write student. And then you're going to be writing the name of your school for the employer. So here, for an example, we have the State University of New York at New Paltz. And so for the address, just like for your place of birth, you're going to have to fit the address all in one bar. So here, as you can see towards the end, we have the town, New Paltz, and then the state, New York, and then the country code, USA. And so if you cannot fit the entire address in this one bar, you will have to take out some of these spaces. Next, the telephone number of the employer. You can put either the reception at your university or your study abroad office's telephone number. Check with your study abroad home advisor, whichever they would prefer for this, because really either way this will work, but you will have to put something here. So next, your employer after your entry to the Czech Republic is going to be Charles University, Faculty of Arts. Again, we have had to eliminate the spaces, so just make sure that you can fit this all in one block. And next is Náměstí Jana Palacha, number 2, Praha 1, 11638, CZE, and then the telephone number. And so please, for 20 and 21, copy this exactly. This is the university's information, and you will be enrolling directly with us. So please put this exactly as I have it. Next, for 22, any previous stays in the Czech Republic for longer than 3 months. This is really only if you received a separate visa already for the Czech Republic at any other point in your life, and so you will definitely know if this is the case. So again, if you're unsure of how to fill this out, if you have gotten a separate Czech visa, then feel free to reach out to me. The address for the stay in the territory of the Czech Republic, if you'll be staying at our dorm, which most of you will be, then this is our dorm's address, and so please fill this out exactly as we have it. If you'll be staying off campus, then you will have to fill in wherever you are staying, although we highly recommend staying at our dorm for a number of reasons, the least of which is not because it makes the visa application process much, much easier. And so the postal address, if you were staying at our dorm, this is going to be, you can leave this blank because the postal address will be the same as the address for stay. The visa is requested for 104 days. Please write this exactly. Oh, sorry, I see a question. Is this document online for reference when we fill it out? This I can email you individually if you email me, if you would like this specific document to reference. Otherwise, like I said, you can go back and reference this video after I send it to you, and you'll be able to see me going over step by step this again, as well as being able to pause the video, etc. But if you're concerned and would like this document specifically, then feel free to email me about it. All right, so yeah, like I said, number 25, visa is requested for 104 days. This is the length of the program. So please put 104 days as even if you're planning to come ahead of time, if you want to see Prague ahead of time, or if you were staying after the program is over, staying within the Schengen zone, please still write 104 days. Any passport holders of the US or Canada or Hong Kong, you are still able to visit the Schengen zone where the Czech Republic is in for a period of 90 days for the purpose of tourism without a visa. So you will be, if you're staying earlier or after the program for a period of less than 90 days, you will still be fine without a visa. But for the purpose of this visa, this is exactly what you should be writing. For 26 and 27, these are only valid if you have any other visas issued and their period of validity. And then 27, any previous stays in the Schengen states. So this includes France, Germany, the Czech Republic, Denmark. I can't list all of the states because it's a lot, but please, if you have gone on a European trip before and you have stayed for longer than a tourist visa, then you'll look up if this is in the Schengen zone. And always, if you're unsure about who to fill this out, then you can email me and I will be happy to help. So next, for 28, the purpose of stay is going to be study. You should fill this out exactly as it is. You do not need to specify. That is only if you were coming for another reason. For the date of arrival, you'll be writing this exactly, the 2nd of September 2019. This is because this is the program start date, and your date of departure is going to be the 14th of December 2019. This is the program end date. And like I said, if you're planning to come either before the program or after the program is over, then don't worry about this. You are still covered for 90 days in a period of 180 days for a tourist visa, depending on your passport. Your place of entry in the Czech Republic and the means of transport. This is going to be varying person to person, although most of you will be coming into Prague by plane. So if this is the case, then please copy this. But in the past, we have had students arrive by train from another European country. So please, if this is the case, then let me know and I can help you with this. For number 33, the inviting legal or natural person is going to be Sylvia Bolmova, and I need you to copy this entire section for 33 exactly. She is our Director of International Office. So please, like I said, copy this exactly in 33, including our ECES email address, etces@ff.cuny.cz. And for the number 34, manner of funding the stay, it's going to be yourself. Even if you are receiving any grants, any scholarships, any financial aid, you will still check myself for this. And for means of support during your stay is going to be cash and credit cards. We really don't recommend traveler's checks. They're not very common here. People don't often use them. So we really don't recommend bringing them or using them. Travel and health insurance also, you should check this out and then write the date that your travel and health insurance will be valid for. Like I said, we'll be going over the health insurance in just a little bit. The next page is very specific. Again, you'll note this is the case. For number 36, fill out any of your spouse's information. For number 37, fill out any children or dependents that you might have, although this is going to be left blank for most of you. And so the last page, for 38, you're going to write your home address, and this is going to be your permanent address, so not your dorm address or anything, but most likely your permanent mailing address where your parents or your guardians live. So just write this, and like I said, you have to fill out the entire bit of information. So you have to include the street, the town, the state or province, as well as the country code. So please, if you can't fit this all, then take out the spaces like I showed you above. Telephone number, please include +1. This is the country code for both Canada and the US. If the telephone number, your permanent address is in a country different than Canada or the US, then please look up the country code for it. And then please put your full email address. And so this is just going to be the address that you check most. You can use your academic address, or you can use a personal address, just whatever you're going to check. So that way, if the consulate needs to email you any updates, you'll be able to see it. And over here is just some legal terms and information about the visa itself. One thing I do want to point out is that you should be filling this all out in block letters. And also, please fill this out either in black or blue pen. Do not fill this out in red pen, as it will not be accepted, and you will have to fill it out again. And then down here, put the place and date that you signed the visa application, and again, day, month, year. Then the place, the town, the state or province, and then the country code, and then your signature here. And then leave this blank because it's going to be for the consulate or the embassy's use. Okay, so that is the visa application form. Like I said, if you have any questions about it, please feel free to reach out. And this is the blank form is linked in the pre-departure guide that I will be resending out. So next is going to be the document confirming your purpose of stay. So you will not need to fill out anything on this document, and we will be sending it out to you. We will either be sending it out to your study abroad advisor if you are at a partner university, or we will be sending it out to you specifically if you are applying through us directly and not through a partner university. Although check with your home study abroad advisor, it is whatever they prefer. So you will be getting 3 copies of this, actually. You'll be getting 2 in Czech and 1 in English. The English copy is unofficial, and it is for your reference. The 2 Czech copies, one of them is going to be going to the consulate or embassy with your visa application, and the other one, the other Czech copy, is also going to be for your records after you send this out, and just in case anything happens. Proof of accommodation is the same, 2 Czech copies and 1 English copy. And you will have to fill out a little bit of this on the form. Please keep in mind this is only if you are staying at the Kolej Kaminskeho dorm. If you are staying somewhere else, you will need to get proof of accommodation from your landlord or wherever you are staying. And especially for this reason, this is why we really do recommend you stay at the Kolej Kaminskeho dorm. Over here, you will be writing your name, and your nationality is going to be over here. Next is home address. Down here is passport number, and then you will have to sign down here. And so like I said, we will be sending this out to you just like the study form. So next is you will have to provide a valid Czech health insurance contract. And so in the pre-departure guide, we have a whole section on health insurance, as well as the providers that we recommend. Primarily, we recommend CISI health insurance, although in the past, our students have used Maxima. And so I'm just going to show you how it would be like to purchase the Maxima health insurance. So when you first get to this page, it's going to be in Czech. As most, if not all of you, don't read or speak Czech, you can go up here to the top and click English. And then you'll need to go to Insurance for Foreigners, and you'll click on Get a Quote. And there are two options within Maxima that would cover you. Either of these really work and meet the visa minimum for health insurance. The Foreigners Complex Medical Insurance covers you outside of the Czech Republic if you're traveling, whereas the Emergency Medical Care Insurance primarily covers you within the Czech Republic. Please, though, reference these on your own time and study which you would prefer. As long as the health insurance meets the minimum for the visa requirements, you can buy it, but just please do a little bit of research which you would prefer. I'm going to show you what it would be like just to get the emergency medical care insurance, as this is a little bit cheaper. So one thing to keep in mind is that you will need to get insurance for the entire duration of the program. So if you're only staying for one semester, you will click 4 months, standard or premium, whichever you would prefer. And you will go down here. And for the policy start date, we are going to choose September 2nd. This is the day the program starts. And for the expiration date, I cannot stress enough that you must make sure that the expiration date goes at least until the end of the program. So this goes until January 1st of 2020. And so this is perfect and will cover you for the duration of the program. Although, if I went up here and I chose 3 months, this would end on December 1st and would not cover you. So that is why you have to choose 4 months. Okay, and so we're going to continue. And so then you'll be brought to the policyholder data page. And so after filling this out, then you will be brought to another page where you can finalize your purchase, or instead of finalizing the purchase before that, you can print out the partial terms of conditions and just take a look at it. But one thing that is important for the health insurance contract is you must submit the policy as well as the terms and conditions in Czech. If you are going to Maxima and for some reason you can't get the policy and terms and conditions in Czech, if you can't find it, please email them about it. And likewise, for CISI insurance, you should request the terms and conditions as well as the policy in Czech. The embassy will not process your application if you don't submit this contract in Czech. Although Maxima will also have the terms and conditions in English for your own reference. So that is one reason why we do recommend this company. Although with CISI, I will say a little bit about the difference between the healthcare providers. Maxima is a little bit cheaper upfront. Although once you get here, if you need to visit a general practitioner or a doctor's clinic, then with Maxima, you will still need to pay a portion of each visit. Whereas with CISI insurance, it's a little bit more expensive upfront, although it will fully cover you at any English-speaking clinic in the Czech Republic. So this is why we really do recommend CISI, although it's really your choice. One thing to just keep in mind is that CISI does have a few different policies you can choose from, and their cheapest policy will not meet the visa minimum requirement for costs covered. So you cannot buy the cheapest CISI policy. We have a little bit more about this, like I said, in the pre-departure guide, but if anything is unclear, then please email me and I can help you figure it out a little bit better. Okay, so next is the criminal history background affidavit. So this is relevant for US nationals. For US nationals, you will just have to fill this out. It's very straightforward. It's just attesting that any crimes you've committed or have not committed do not bar you entry from the Czech Republic. And so this form we do have linked in our pre-departure guide as well. Please, though, be sure to fill this out and sign it in front of a notary. This has to be notarized in order to be valid, so please do not fill it out or sign it until you are in front of a notary. And notaries can be found sometimes employed at banks, so check with your bank if anyone who works there is a notary. Otherwise, there are private notary offices. And for anyone who is not a US national, you will have to get a criminal background check for any country that you have spent at least 6 months in for the past 3 years. And then after you get your criminal background check, you will have to get it also notarized and then translated into the Czech language. So especially for any Canadian students applying, this is going to be the case for you, and please let me know if you have any questions about this. But if you're a US citizen, then all you have to do is the affidavit. Document confirming financial resources is going to be a credit or debit card in your name. I can't stress enough, this has to be your card. This cannot be a parent or guardian's card. And you will have to get a scanned copy of both the front and the back. Write in the copy that you certify it's an original copy of the card, just like this, and write this in front of a notary and have the notary notarize this as well. And so connected to this is going to be a bank account statement. You don't need to wait for a monthly statement. An online statement is fine if it's printed out. It just must show your account number, must have your name. It's okay if a parent or a guardian is a co-signer to the account, but your name must be on the account. And it has to be tied to the card that you used for the proof of funds. And so also you have to show at least a balance of $3,000 US. We do, though, recommend a bit more than this, just in case the currency exchange rates between US dollars and Czech crowns fluctuates, as it generally does. And like I said, just make sure to have more than 3,000 in the account. And for additional items, make sure that you're submitting not only the hard copies for each of these documents, but also you're submitting an additional scanned copy for all of these documents, except 2 copies of your passport data page. This is very important. And also, in addition to submitting copies of all of the documents to the embassy, it's always a good idea to take a copy for your own records. Please do this anytime you are sending any important documents out to be processed by any embassy or anything of this ilk. It's always good just in case something happens or gets lost, or the embassy needs to reference your documents at home for any reason. We also very much recommend that you go and apply for your visa in person at the relevant embassy. And I'll show you where you can do that. So this is in the pre-departure guide, so you can reference this later. But so for US citizens, we have a list of all of the states and their corresponding embassy or consulate general of the Czech Republic and where you should be sending it. So if you live in New York, you should be submitting your documents to the Consulate General in New York. If you live in Kansas, you should be submitting to the Consulate General in Chicago. And although you can submit through mail, like I said, we really do recommend that you go in person, so that way you can apply and they'll let you know if you're missing anything right up front and you don't have to wait for the mail time. For any Canadian students, there are only 2 consulate generals in Canada that accept visa documents. That is the Embassy in Ottawa and the Consulate General in Toronto. Most likely you will be submitting to the Consulate General, the Embassy in Ottawa, although please let me know and I'll be able to tell you which you should be applying to based on your permanent address. Okay, and so if you cannot go in person, then a self-addressed overnight envelope should be sent along with the rest of your documents so that the embassy or consulate general can send it back to you. And we can't stress enough, the more insurance you can put on this envelope, the better. Please put tracking on it just so you know where it is. If you can put any insurance on it, you really can't be too careful in sending your documents. Like I said, you must submit an original copy and a photocopy of every document and keep a scanned copy for your records. Okay, and so once again, here is just the list of the visa application materials. I'll give you all a second to, if you have any final questions about the visa process, I'll be able to answer them. But in the meantime, we're going to be, in just one second, getting started on going over the pre-departure process outside of the visa process, as well as what to expect from the program after you get here and ways to prepare yourself. So I don't see any questions coming in. Like I said, I'll be keeping an eye on the chat box if there's anything. So please let me know. And other than that, we're going to get to the fun part of the webinar. Here are a few of the general program dates for the ECES program after you get here. I will be going over a lot of these a little bit more in depth in just a second. But one thing to make sure you know of is that the official makeup day for any of our classes, if they're canceled for any holiday reasons or any emergencies, if your professor has to cancel class one day and needs to make it up later, Friday, November 1st is going to be the makeup day. So please do not schedule any trips or anything like this on November 1st. And so for the rest of the dates, official departure date, like I said, is going to be December 14th, and the program start date is September 2nd. And so course registration is going to start on July 1st at 4 p.m. Central European Summer Time. So it's going to be 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Please be ready to register at this point just so you can get any classes that you want and have gotten pre-approved by your academic advisors. And so one thing to keep in mind, I mentioned this before, is please, if you have not already, register on our website so you can access that profile that I showed you before. Please try to register at least 1 week in advance at the absolute latest from July 1st. And that way, if there are any issues with you registering, you can email me and I can help you out troubleshoot. And so if you are having problems registering, then what you'll need to include is your full name as well as your date of birth in that email, and I'll be able to help you out. And so for the registration, spaces in the courses are first come, first serve. That being said, if there is a course that you really want, you can still register if it's full, and you'll be put on the course wait list. For the first 2 weeks of our full courses, it's going to be the add drop period. So you can try out classes, see if you'd like to take them, add any classes that you want, drop any as well. After this period, you will have to attend the course for the rest of the semester, and your courses will be final. And that add drop period ends on October 3rd. So that is a Thursday. And especially during this period, a lot of people do end up dropping out of courses. So if you are on the wait list, it is again first come, first serve. So we generally have about 16 spaces in our courses. So once somebody drops out, then the next person on the wait list will be bumped up. That being said, after the course registration period is over and ad drop is finished, if you are still on the wait list, you will be cut out of the course. So make sure that if the last course that you want, you're on the wait list for, and if you're dropped out of that course, you won't be able to make your credit minimum. Please make sure that you are fully enrolled in other courses. Just as after the ad drop period is over, we won't really be able to do much, although we will be in constant contact with you about this process to make sure this doesn't happen. And like I said, please have extra courses pre-approved by your academic advisor, your major advisor, in case one of the courses that you really do want isn't available. And this way also during the course registration period and the ad drop period, it allows you a little bit of leeway to try out courses. And so the official arrival date in Prague is going to be September 2nd. On this day, we are going to be at the dorm all day to help you get checked in. And also prior to arriving, by August 1st, please submit your arrival detail form. If you are arriving on Monday, September 2nd, we will be able to organize transportation for you from the airport or the train station, wherever you're arriving in Prague. But like I said, this is only if you're arriving on the official arrival date. If you're coming to Prague ahead of time and you want to, go on a trip and travel and see Prague in Europe, and you're going to be arriving September 1st or anything, then you will have to organize your own transportation to the dorm on this day. Please let us know. We will also be supplying you with the 24-hour ECES emergency phone prior to your arrival. At 24/7, one of our ECES staff members will have this phone just in case there's any emergencies throughout the semester. But for the arrival date, you can use it if your plane is going to get delayed and you are going to arrive later than your specified arrival time on the form. And that way we can make sure that we still get you to the dorm and still get you set up and there's no issues there. And so once you're there at the dorm, you will need your passport to check in. So after you've landed, please don't put it in your luggage or anything like that. Have it ready and out for when you get to the dorm. Like I said, we will be there waiting for you, and we'll have your housing forms just to get you acclimated to the program. It will most likely be myself along with one of the other staff members there. And one thing to keep in mind, because it's very common, especially over the course of the semester, the students who are coming, for students to overpack. One thing I can tell you that the dorms are, they do have, and this is an example over here of one of our double rooms, are sheets and towels. These are provided by us, and we have fantastic cleaning ladies who are working through the normal Monday through Friday work days. They will clean the sheets for you and any towels that are left on the floor. So don't worry about bringing sheets and towels. This is just going to fill up your suitcase more. And likewise, don't overpack on toiletries. You can buy things such as soap and body wash, shower gel after you get over here for cheap. So don't worry about filling up your suitcase too much with it. And so over here, like I said this before, was the this is one of the rooms itself. And here is the suite area that is shared. So you have all in your housing preference sheets. If you haven't already, please fill that out, and I will be leaving a link to that in the follow-up email. But in all of the suites, even if you're living in a single room, you will be connected to a common suite area like this. So you can see here that there is a small kitchenette in each of the dorm suite areas, and all of them look different. So they're not all set up exactly like this, but they all do come with this entryway. They come with a little bit of closet space for you to hang your coats and your boots and everything. Like I said, the shared kitchenette, which has a mini fridge, a little bit of shelving over here. You can't see it, but there's more cupboards over here, as well as a hot plate and a small sink. And so I will talk a little bit more about this in a second, but we have a full kitchen, but This is kind of your own personal space to use if you would just like to cook in your own suite area. Please keep this area clean though. We do have, like I said, the cleaning ladies who will clean up the floors, but especially if the kitchen area is in complete disrepair, if you're not cleaning your dishes, the cleaning ladies will not touch that. That is your own responsibility. And so, like I mentioned, we also have a full shared kitchen area. This is connected to a living room. It's kind of just our shared ECES common room. It is only for ECES students. Please make use of it. It's extremely comfortable. It's extremely nice. It's got couches, chairs, a TV. It's got a full kitchen area with a full refrigerator. It's got pots and pans and utensils. And I think it's just a really fun place to hang out and meet the other students. And one thing to keep in mind, though, is it is a shared space, and you have responsibility for your own dishes that you make. So if you make a lovely, wonderful dinner, please clean your dishes after you are done. The cleaning ladies will not clean it up. Everyone else in the program will be resentful if they come into the kitchen and they find all the dishes are dirty. And likewise, please clean out your refrigerator if you're leaving any perishable foods in there. You don't want to open the refrigerator and just get a whiff of some rotten food. We will remind you of this as well. Please just take care of the kitchen area. It is for everyone, and we would just ask for you to treat it as such. Additionally, we have breakfast provided for you Monday through Friday at the dorm, except for national holidays. And we have an extremely wonderful breakfast coordinator, Pani Blanca, who, if you have any dietary needs or restrictions or would like to see anything added to the breakfast, you can always ask her to try to get it. That being said, the breakfast is a traditional continental variety, so it's mostly very light with yogurts and granolas and deli slices, cheese slices, vegetables and fruits, and a little bit of cereal. But there's nothing like heavy or prototypically North American, so there's no waffles or scrambled eggs or pancakes or anything. So just please keep this in mind. It's a very traditional European breakfast. Down here, I've included the dorm address, and I'm going to be showing you where this is located in Prague. So here is a larger map of Prague. This includes not only the places you'll be staying, where the dorm is, and where the courses are, but a little bit more of the zoo out here and some of the more outdoorsy active areas. So we're just going to zoom in a little bit more. Over here at Parejoba, this is the dorm itself. It's not in Prague 1, which is the prototypical tourist area. It's in Prague 6, which is a more residential area. And so it's really nice for getting a little bit more of a authentic Czech experience and less of a touristy experience. And you are only about a 5-minute walk maximum from the closest tram stop, which is Pohoželic. From here, it's about a 15-minute tram ride down around this hill area to Malostranska. From Malostranska, if you just walk across this small bridge here, then you are brought to our main faculty building at Náměstí Jana Palacha. So this is where a lot of your courses will be taking place throughout the semester. It's where my office is located throughout the semester if you need anything. It's right next to some of the courses, the course building and rooms. So if you need anything, you can just pop in. And so one thing I will note is that Náměstí Jana Palacha, our main building, is just a few-minute walk from Old Town Square right here, where you see kind of the stereotypical pictures of Prague by the statue of Jan Hus, as well as the astronomical clock. And so one tram stop away, or sorry, metro stop away from our main building is our Jędrzejska building. This is where the rest of our courses are and the rest of the ECES offices. And this is also a short walk to the Old Town. So the course buildings themselves are right in the heart of Prague. And it's, like I said, only about a 15-minute commute from the dorm. Although one thing I do recommend, especially if you have time, is it's about a 40-minute walk from the dorms through this Old Town past Hradčany, that's the castle area, into the Marastrana, the Old Town, and to the classroom buildings. So I at least recommend once you're here, if you have time, to check this walkout because it's beautiful through the old part of Prague. Just a few things about the program once you get here. Like I said, arrival day is Monday, September 2nd. Most of the day, we are going to be at the dorm, checking you in and making sure everything's all set. Then around 5 in the evening, we are going to start moving over to an ECES meet and greet. So we have 2 meet and greet sessions that we are going to be putting on the website under the activity page for you to register. And this is going to be at a local restaurant, just a short walk away from the dorm, with traditional Czech food like goulash and svíčková and smažený sír. So we really do recommend that you come out. And it's a really good way to not only get a taste of the Czech food, but meet everyone else on the program. Meet the staff members and the dorm coordinator. So please, we do ask that you come out to this, even though it's optional. It's a lot of fun. And so after this, the next day is going to be most of the housekeeping and some of the more administrative things. We're going to be giving you a little bit more of information about the housing in the dorm. We'll be giving you a tour around to show you all the amenities. Then after that, we're going to get your student ID cards. So one thing I forgot to mention about the dorm is that it is 24/7 gated door, gated entry, with 24/7 reception staff. This is for the safety of the students living inside. So that is why you have to have a student ID card to enter it. Before you have your student ID card, you can buzz in and the reception staff will just check you in and make sure that you're actually staying at the dorm. But after you get your student ID card, you can just swipe that and you'll be able to be let in. And also, if you have anybody staying with you, any family members or friends, they will not be able to stay in your room. They will have to check in and pay a small fee to stay overnight. And so if you're coming in with anyone who doesn't live at the dorm, please check them in at the reception. Like I said, this is for everyone's own safety. So you'll be getting your ID cards for this on Tuesday after the housing orientation. And after this, our welcome meeting, which is a little bit more of the intricacies of the academics and a little bit more of what to expect in the program. And I will be talking about some of our extracurricular programs, such as the Check It Out Challenge. So this is all mandatory on Tuesday. The next day, September 4th, is going to be a little bit more of the fun stuff. For most of the day, we're going to be having the Prague scavenger hunt. This is to get you to travel around the city and see a little bit more of where your new home is going to be. You're going to be accompanied by Czech students who are volunteering to help out. They're always extremely jazzed to meet North American students, so it's a really fun time to make some Czech friends. And so you'll be going around Prague and taking pictures of yourself at Prague landmarks. And after this, we're going to be having a river cruise and dinner for the whole program on the Vltava River, which is one of the landmarks in Prague. So everyone is welcome to come to this. There is a welcome drink provided as well as free buffet-style dinner, so you don't have to worry about paying for this. And so after this, on Thursday to Friday, September 5th and 6th, these are going to be mandatory orientation day trips. Although I might be a little bit biased, I think they're a lot of fun. The first day is usually more of the fun stuff, going to either Pilsen or Kutná Hora, or there's one other location, I think it's Český Krumlov. These are, like I said, a little bit more touristy and fun places for you to just see a little bit more of the Czech Republic and get to know the staff and the students. The next day is usually more somber educational trip. You can have a choice between a few places, such as the Příbram communist labor camp or the Terezín X concentration camp. And so especially if you have a preference to which trip you would be going on, when we open up the trip registration period, which I will announce later, then we ask that you be ready to sign up for these because it's first come, first serve. And as they are mandatory, if you are not signed up for an orientation day trip on each of these days, you'll have to go to a trip on each of these days, then we will sign you up later for any trip that has space. So like I said, if you have a preference, please be on top of registering. And so after this, the next 2 weeks will be the Introduction to Czech Language course. This is a required part of the program, although you can opt to take it pass-fail or for a credit. Now, that being said, especially if you would like this credit to count back your home university, double check with your home university if you need to take this for credit for a grade, or if you are allowed to take it pass-fail. We don't care either way, but please, I can't stress enough, check with your home university. And like I said, the course itself is mandatory. You are not allowed to opt out of it. And so here's another look at the entire schedule. So like I said, first week is orientation. The next 2 weeks are going to be the Czech language. And then after this, the actual classes are going to start. And for the normal class semesters, we only have classes from Monday to Thursday. And this is to give you guys Friday to kind of explore the Czech Republic or go travel to other places because we do want you to see Europe while you're here. And like I said, at the end of the second week of full classes is going to be the end of the add drop period. So please keep this in mind while you're taking classes. If you go past October 3rd, you will not be able to add or drop any classes. And so over here, we have just a quick overview of some of the optional trips and activities we will be offering this upcoming semester. We have a few paid trips, such as the day trip to Český Ráj. We have a few weekend trips, such as the Budapest trip. Like I said, these are paid. You will need to pay a registration fee, and they are not included in your original tuition fee. But then we do also have some free activities, like the Thanksgiving dinner, some film screenings, as well as we'll be holding a tour that is free of Radio Free Europe, which is one of the most important and historical radio stations in Europe in the 20th century. And then also throughout the semester, we have a few cafe and gallery excursions with our housing coordinator, Susanna, as well as miscellaneous opera, ballet, theater performances. Some are performances you already know about, such as Carmen. Others are performances such as the Czech Rusalka. So we'll be announcing these throughout the semester. And like I said, you can find these, you can find these on the ECES website under your profile on the sidebar. And so for preparing for Prague, just a few things to note. Do a little bit of research about the history and the political situation in the Czech Republic. Europeans are very much interested in politics, and I'm a bit biased. I studied history, and I think that history really does influence the way that people act in the world around them, and especially so in Europe. So just research a little bit about the history of the Czech Republic and Central Europe before you come. And we do have within the pre-departure guide a few bits of recommended reading. So we can recommend you a few things to read as well if you're looking for things to get into. And also start learning Czech. Like I said, we do have the required course to start the semester off with, but it's never too early to start. One of the big ones that I really recommend is Duolingo. They very recently added their Czech program on not only their mobile app, but also on the web. So you can check that out now. And one thing that I will say at least that's important to get down before you get here, you might have been able to gather, I am not Czech, and so I have had to learn the language as well, and I can attest that it is a bit challenging. That being said, if you can get the pronunciation and the phonetics of the language down, then you're going to be at an extreme advantage for when you want to try to orient yourself throughout the city and organize with your friends about how to get around. One thing to keep in mind is that Czech culture is going to be extremely different from what you're used to here. We do always say that no matter who you are, you're going to be experiencing culture shock at some point or another. So I just want you to keep in mind before you get here that Czech people can be a little bit more reserved or closed off, and it's very common for people to assume that this means the Czech people are mean or rude, but this isn't the case. Czech people just won't smile in public. They won't wave at people if they don't know them. This isn't, like I said, them being mean or anything. This is just the way that Czechs act in public. And likewise, they're not very open to strangers if they don't know you. So be prepared for this. But once you get to know Czech people, they're just normal people. It's just that the way that they act around strangers is not as open as you might be used to, especially in the US or Canada. And so one thing too is it's extremely popular to get around Prague in public transit, and we very much recommend that you do so to act like a Prager and get a view of a city that you might not get if you were here as a normal tourist. We especially recommend this over taxis or Uber. One thing I will say about Uber especially is it does not act as a legal entity in the Czech Republic. It is illegal. And so we cannot recommend trying to use Uber here. And taxis, they are in Prague. Although that being said, and I'm sure this is mostly the same in big cities where you're from, if a taxi driver thinks that you are a foreigner, thinks that you're not from around there, and thinks they can get a leg up on you, they might take a different route to what they should be taking to get to your destination. They'll run the meter up, go on longer routes, just to get to charge you more. So it's really not a good idea to take taxis, especially when you first get here. So we really do recommend public transit. And this is another reason why learning the language of phonetics is such a big deal. Although we will also teach you how to read the public transit signs and maps after you get here. And so a few final practical considerations before you get here as well. If you haven't already, please call your credit card company and bank and let them know you'll be here. This is just so you aren't cut off from your money if they see what looks to them a suspicious transaction in the Czech Republic that you didn't let them know about. If you don't tell them, this can look like someone's trying to steal your credit card information. And I can tell you that there's nothing scarier than being in a new place or a new country and not have access to your money. So please let them know ahead of time. And this also extends to if you are paying any of our tuition fees, if you're paying for any of our activities, as you'll be paying through our payment portal, it will look like you're making a payment in the Czech Republic, and you will have to let your credit card company and bank know ahead of time. One thing to keep in mind too is the current exchange rate. $1 equals about 20 Czech crowns. A thing to note here is that you might be confused about. The Czech Republic is in the European Union. That being said, the Czech Republic does not use the euro. It is like a few countries in this regard, but the Czech Republic uses its own currency, the Czech crown, which is here, CZK, is the currency code for it. So if you're planning any trips to Germany or Austria, even though you would still be in the European Union, in that case, you would have to switch to the euro. And likewise, if you're going on any trips to neighboring countries, please let your bank and credit card company know about that as well. Before you get here, I can't stress enough, this should be before you get here, buy some European-style adapters, outlet converters for your electronics, especially for any of your laptops or phone chargers. It's very hard to get these after you're already here, as appliances that you buy here would already be working for these outlets. So ahead of time, please get new adapters for your devices. And we have a bit about this in the pre-departure guide. As I said, I'll be including, so you can check that out and see what exactly you would need to buy. I believe we don't have any students this semester from other parts of Europe, so this will apply to all of you. And also, please mind the voltage on these converters that you'll be buying. Make sure that they work not only in the Czech Republic, but also that they're compatible with your own devices. That being said, we really do not recommend you bring any hair straighteners or hair dryers. This is because these heat-producing appliances usually have issues with the voltage converters, and more likely than not, these will break if you try to use them, even with the voltage converters. And we have had this in the past where they break or catch fire on students. So I can't stress enough, do not bring hair straighteners or hair dryers. Rather, you should go to Tesco while you're here and just buy them for extremely cheap. You'll be here long enough that it's definitely worth it. And like I said, we don't want these breaking on you after you get here. And it'll help you pack a little bit lighter as well. And also, if you're interested in it, you can get an ISEC card, which is an International Student Identification Card. But one thing to keep in mind, likewise, is that you will only be able to apply for this ahead of time. After you're already in Prague, you won't be able to. So apply for this through your home university. So if you are a student at Kansas State, you will be applying for this as a Kansas State University student. So if you're interested in this, you can go to www.isec.org, and on there they have a lot of information about what kind of discounts you can use this card for. You can sometimes get flights cheaper for it as well, so always double check that. So please get this ahead of time and do a little bit of research on it if you might be interested. I would very much recommend it, but like I said, you can't get it after you are already in Prague. So I'm going to be wrapping up now. I'll be kind of giving you a few more things to think about. In the meantime, if you have any questions, like I said, please take advantage of the webinar while you're here to type them in the chat box, and I can answer them in real time. Otherwise, I can email you about it later. But after this webinar, I'll be uploading this video, like I said, to our YouTube page for you to reference at your own leisure. And additionally, I'll be sending out links to our Facebook groups. And we have a closed group just for the fall 2019 students. And we really recommend joining this, as not only do we use it to give announcements and updates throughout the program, but it's also just a good way to meet the students you're going to be studying with for the semester. So we really recommend this. And also we'll be sending out a link to our alumni group where you can ask any questions or advice of previous students who have attended the program. So joining both of these is really recommended. And additionally, if you haven't already, please send me your passport scan as well as your photo that meets passport standard regulations. We use this separate photo. Like I said, it's not just your passport scan. It's a separate photo we use for your housing identification cards, so we will need it before you arrive. If you haven't already, please fill out your housing preference form if you're staying at the Kolej Kamenského dorm. Additionally, please fill out and send to us your health information form. We don't use the information on the health information forms unless it's in case of an emergency. But for this reason, if you need to go to the hospital and one of us needs to go with you, or if you need to go to a general practitioner just for a checkup, it's extremely integral that you fill this out ahead of time so we have it on file and we can make sure that you are all right. And especially too, you can note any allergies or any dietary needs and restrictions that you might have on here as well. So if you're vegan or vegetarian, or if you have any allergies, you can let us know there. Yeah, and so this is the end of the ECES pre-departure webinar. Like I said, if you have any final questions, now is definitely the time to ask. And otherwise, thank you all for coming. I'll be giving it just a few minutes for any questions to come in. But thank you for coming, and I'll be, like I said, resending the pre-departure guide, and I will be talking with you about the visa process more in depth as the process goes on. If you have not already received your visa documents, you will be getting them soon. And like I said, especially if you're at a partner university like UConn or Kansas State, you will most likely be getting these to your home advisor. Although if there's any question about it, you can always ask your study abroad office, or you can ask me. Like I said, you have my email, but just in case for reference, it is duncan.eaton@ff.cuny.cz. And additionally, you can find my contact information on the ECES website under Contact Us. And I, like I said, am going to be primarily in charge of this pre-departure process, as well as the trip and activity planning, etc., and a lot of the issues when you get here. for students, like I said, academic advising and signing up for classes. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. And yeah, once again, thank you all for coming, and I hope you have a nice rest of the day. I know it's a little bit earlier in North America than it is over here in Prague. So take care, everybody. Have a nice day, and I'll see you all in Prague.